You know, I have not spoken much recently on the podcast and the broadcast because about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, because we've been covering essentially the full trial every day on Facebook and YouTube, not on Twitch because we're banned from Twitch for 30 days. So I've just been getting so much of it, I haven't commented, but I do want to talk about it a little bit today. Over the last 24 hours, the Kyle Rittenhouse case in Kenosha, Wisconsin, it's the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, who is accused of, when he was 17 last year, homicide against two individuals that he killed, as well as miscellaneous other charges related to guns and other things. This is a trial where the defense has now taken over. The defense called Kyle Rittenhouse to the stand as a witness, and the prosecution was able to cross-examine Kyle Rittenhouse yesterday. This has now led to a call for a mistrial by the defense. So let's look at one article about this, and then we're going to look at a video because the judge flipped out yesterday. This is getting a lot of attention because it has become quite wacky. The Kyle Rittenhouse case is now in jeopardy as lawyers seek a mistrial. Trial judge accuses prosecutor of improper line of questioning. What has taken place is that the defense has asked for a mistrial on two bases. The first is that at the beginning of his cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse, the prosecutor sought to ask Kyle Rittenhouse about not making a comprehensive public statement about what he believes happened. The judge felt that this was trying to use Rittenhouse's silence against him, which would be a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Okay, that's one basis on which the defense wants a mistrial. The other basis on which the defense wants a mistrial is that they say the prosecutor questioned Rittenhouse about things which the judge had already said should not be brought up. This is a basic summary of the reasoning for the defense's request for a mistrial. The judge is considering that request. The defense wants a mistrial with prejudice, meaning that that's it, that the case can't be restarted. A new case can't be restarted against Kyle Rittenhouse. That would be wild if that took place. I also want to play for you video when this was being discussed of the judge sort of flipping out on the prosecutor. Take a look at this.
In the questions, I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an experienced attorney, and he knows better.
Mr. Finger?
First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that, and the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
Whoa.
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was not our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move to reconsider.
That was their motion.
We have not filed any motions to reconsider in this case.
That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that.
So, as many have noticed, the judge seems to only bring this level of energy against the prosecution. There have been a whole bunch of questions raised about this judge. And listen, if the judge is biased, there's going to be the possibility of an appeal in theory, although prosecution appeals and jury verdicts are very, very tough. I want to just kind of give my general take on this case at this point in time, because I'm getting a lot of emails from people saying, David, this is obviously self-defense. David, even TYT now says it was self-defense. I don't know what TYT has said, to be clear. I'm just saying people are telling me that that's what TYT has said. Let me make my position on this case very, very clear. I believe that Kyle Rittenhouse's self-defense from a legal perspective is going to be valid enough, plausible enough in the immediate situation in which he shot the two people that he killed, that he will be found not guilty. I believe that it is I believe it may be quite true that he feared for his life in that moment, which is what is on trial. Okay, so I'm not saying any of this, he's obviously guilty. It obviously wasn't self-defense. I think that from a legal standpoint, self-defense is going to be valid enough based on the facts that not guilty will be the verdict there. I also believe that the entire context here is a disgusting context. He had no business going to Kenosha and being armed that night. The totality of the incident is nauseating. And the fact that if he's convicted, he will be considered a martyr by the right. If he is acquitted, he will be made a hero by the right for the fact that he was there with a gun defending himself. When the truth is that this case is emblematic of everything wrong with American culture around guns, masculinity, vigilante justice, etc., etc. Now, you can break down each part and say, well, okay, in general, just being a 17-year-old being familiar with guns is not inherently wrong or immoral. In theory, protecting property while holding a gun, it's not, would we feel differently, as a viewer emailed me, if this was someone protecting a black-owned business with a gun from KKK looters or something like that? Most progressives would probably say, no, that it's okay that that's being done. And if you do this, you certainly can make the case that there's no particular one smoking gun. But this is a symptom of toxic underlying conditions, gun culture, vigilante culture, etc. And that is different than should he be found guilty. That's not a crime, what I just said. So let's not misstate each other's beliefs about this. And for the people emailing me saying, David, you're so wrong for saying that he should be found guilty. It's for the jury to decide. And I believe that the evidence for the narrow circumstances at issue in the case, self-defense is plausible, and that he will be found not guilty on the homicides. That's my belief. Send me your thoughts. You can find me on Twitter at @dpackman. I love growing my own food at home. Many of you have seen my gardening stuff on my Instagram. I get great tips from the audience. And one of our sponsors is Lettuce Grow, which is by far the easiest way to grow your own food at home. The Lettuce Grow farm stand is a hydroponic unit that waters and fertilizes itself. You can grow more than 200 varieties of fruits and veggies at home, indoors or outdoors. I love my Lettuce Grow farm stand. I've grown edible flowers, tomatoes, strawberries, eggplant. It only requires 5 minutes of maintenance a week. I can grow 36 plants at a time. It uses 95% less water than traditional gardening. No packaging, no waste. I didn't even know it was possible to grow food like this in a portable unit, but I love it. And Lettuce Grow is giving you $50 off the farm stand when you go to lettucegrow.com/Packman and use the code Packman. The link is down below.